Hello Daily Drafters and welcome back to the channel for today's Daily Draft. Once again, drafting Murders at Karlov Manor premiere draft today, and what does our pack 1 pick 1 have in store for us right now? Our rare is Doorkeeper Thrall, 2 mana, 1/2 flash flying that turns off ETB triggers. Not great. We've got Culvert Ambusher as just kind of a fine but clunky-ish big green card. Glintweaver, I had some success with. I don't know if I want to take a 7-drop with my first pick, though. You know, yesterday's draft was a green-based deck that didn't have any Nervous Gardeners, and I would have killed for 1 or 2 of them, and this pack is honestly pretty bad. I'm not thrilled with the majority of these cards here. Sudden Setback seems okay. I do like Out Cold, but when in doubt, take the cheap card and what I think is probably the best green common. So we'll see where we can go from here. What is this uncommon? 3 mana, 3/2, can't block unless you've sacked an artifact. When it attacks, it loots. That's okay, not like outstanding. There is another Glintweaver. There's a Lightning Helix, which I think is the best card in this pack by a lot. It's pretty committal in being red-white or base red, base white. Not that we're locked into playing a Nervous Gardener or anything. We do have an Escape Tunnel that we could take. I don't think we need to take that this early, though. I think the highest upside in this pack is Lightning Helix. I think the second options would be Glintweaver or Escape Tunnel for me. But I'll go ahead and take the Lightning Helix here. Gosh, 3 straight Glintweavers. Interesting. Call Surprise Witness, I think, is a fine card in most white decks. Concealed Weapon is a good disguise card, and there's also a Galvanize here. We took Lightning Helix. Suppose we can take Galvanize. There's a chance we could be something like green-red splashing a Helix. There are 2 Escape Tunnels. These will likely not wheel, but following up a Helix with a Galvanize seems fine to me. We're not seeing like a ton of the great green cards. Glintweaver is a card I like if you already have an idea that this is going to be good in your deck. There's a chance that some green decks won't want to play Glintweaver. If this thing had Disguise, it would be so much better, but probably too much better. So let's take the Galvanize here. Now we've got Murder. We've got Inside Source to go with our red-white plan here. Vengeful Creeper is the only green card. There's also Convenient Target, Technician, Savior. I don't feel like branching into a 4th color with Murder here, so I think I'll take the Inside Source and see if we're on the inside track to being just a kind of a straight old red-white deck here. Yeah, I think it's the best card in the pack, so let's go ahead and take it. Rift Burst Hellion for the green-red life. Could play this in red-white, but probably don't want to. It's a little expensive. Presumed Dead is the one that kind of returns it back to the battlefield. Concealed Weapon, though. I do think I like this card. I played it in one kind of a red-black deck, I think it was, and it was good. It was good. I mean, especially if you get cards like the 2 mana 1/1 Flying Lifelink, things like that. That makes this better. Case of the Shattered Pact, we could have had all, like, you know, an enormously multicolored deck so far with Gardener into Multi-Escape Tunnel into Case of the Shattered Pact. But we've also got Helix and Galvanize, and you can't really complain about that. Which one is this one? This is the Case of the Detectives. So probably not for red-white. I mean, we do have a detective so far. I mean, this makes one. There's also Karlov Watchdog. Don't know if that's particularly great. I don't like Knife. I've come a lot farther down on Gearbane Orangutan here. And green is relatively cut except for rope. I guess I'll take the Watchdog. I think it has a higher upside than the case does in our deck so far. Push and Pull could be cast in a red-white deck, and I don't like Red Herring, so I'll take Push and Pull. I've won some games off of casting Pull already. I don't think Gadget Technician is great in what's likely going to be a little bit more of an aggressive deck. I said I don't like Red Herring, but it's basically the only option here. Don't think Kylock's Visionary Inventor is great. So let's take Red Herring. So this is our wheel with just 5 cards in the pack. There is Soul Search, Macabre Reconstruction. There's some decent-ish black. But I'll just cut the red card of the Offender at Large here. Night Drinker Moroi came back. That's interesting. There's also a Shady Informant, but I think the Moroi is actually pretty good. I don't think Essence of Antiquity is good. Let's cut this black card as well. Okay, Demand Answers is a fine little card draw spell for whatever deck we end up in. And now we have 10th District Hero. 2 mana 2/2, or 2 mana 2/3. You can pay some mana to kind of level it up to a 4/4 and a 5/5 that gives things indestructible. Pretty easy pick here. This is another rare. It's kind of like Villainous Wealth, but like a bad version of it. There's Braggart. There's Museum Nightwatch, which I would love to wheel, but in these new play boosters, the wheel is not really a thing anymore. There is Auspicious Arrival. Wouldn't mind wheeling that as well. But pretty easy 10th District Hero here for me. And I don't think the whole Nervous Gardener thing is happening. Probably more than likely being straight red-white here. As we see another Lightning Helix. Very hard to pass up on that, even for a Novice Inspector. There's a Braggart. There's a Tracker. I would love an Inspector, but you can't pass Lightning Helix. I mean, I've had that card go like pick 7, pick 8 already in this format, and that's just crazy to me. Which one is this one? Oh, this is a good one. When this case enters the battlefield, discard a card, then draw 2. Kind of like Demand Answers. Discard a card or draw 2. If you have no cards in hand, you solve it. At the beginning of your upkeep, you discard your hand, then draw 2 cards. I've had this in board stalls just completely destroy me already, this format. So I'm going to take this here over Phantom and Tracker and Hellion and Informant. So take the case. Ooh, Dogwalker. Love to see that when you're in red-white. What else we got here? Lazav. 2 mana 2/3. Whenever it attacks, you exile target card from a graveyard, then investigate. Whenever you sack a clue, you can have it become a copy of a creature card exiled with it until end of turn. That's kind of cute. There is Due Diligence. This card has been a beating. Most of the time, auras are like not great, but gosh, this gives you a lot of power and toughness and vigilance for just 3 mana. But we're going to go ahead and take the Dogwalker here. This is an interesting one. So Crowd Control Warden is a card that's been a problem. Every time my opponent has flipped it, it's like, oh, that's a 9/9. I can't deal with that. So this is kind of important. There's also a Due Diligence here, but I think I'm going to take the Control Warden. It's a card I haven't put in my deck yet, but it's been good against me, and I think it's probably going to be pretty good for me as well. So let's take it. Interesting pick here, Convenient Target. In theory, I like this card, but, you know, when I want to take something like Museum Nightwatch over it, how much do I actually like it? There's also a Sanguine Savior here, but I do really like the Museum Nightwatch, and our curve can handle a Nightwatch. So I'm going to go ahead and take that here. Okay, take another one. Pass all of the black. Wow. Fester Leech, Dual Leech, Extracted Confession, and Murder. 2 of the better black uncommons and 2 of the better black commons all in the pack at pick 7. That was kind of strange. Okay, I think I'll take the Phantom here over Hellion. Probably not going to play it though, but I mean, maybe. Probably don't need to Demand Answers now that we have a case of the Crimson Pulse here. I don't like red herring. Maybe we can add it back if we want to. Push and pull is still castable. Probably don't want Defenestrated Phantom if we can if we can make that happen. Granite Witness is a card we could play. Could take the Rubble Belt Braggart here. 5-mana, 5/5. I'd rather some disguise creatures, but maybe we could play that. Everything else here is probably a lock. Oh, probably don't want to play that either. Watchdog is a maybe. I don't know if this card is good. I do not like Mask Maker. Let's see what we can find in the last pick. The last pack. Ooh, this is close. Okay, so we have Connecting the Dots, which is a very hard card to evaluate. 2 mana, whenever a creature you control attacks, you exile the top card of your library face down, and then you can pay 2 to discard your hand, sacrifice it, and draw all of those cards. But there's also a Neighborhood Guardian here, and this card I know is good. This card is very good. I think the tiebreaker for me is going to be the fact that we already have Case of the Crimson Pulse, which means I don't think we need Connecting the Dots. As good as this card could be, I know this Neighborhood Guardian is good, and if you don't, I'm going to go ahead and show you why in this draft. So we're going to go ahead and take the Neighborhood Guardian here. Okay, well, as good as Case of the Crimson Pulse is, I don't think 2 of them is exactly what we're looking for. When there's a card like Crovad Haunch or Dogwalker in the pack, I like both of these. I think I'm going to take the creature in Dogwalker, but I do like Crovad Haunch to note, for sure. Okay, pretty easy shock here. Well, not necessarily easy. Market Watch Phantom is also good, but shock is where you want to be in the format. That is for sure. Got a nice little aggressive deck going. Yeah, I think this looks totally fine so far. Only 9 creatures, interestingly, which isn't great, but all of our non-creatures are, like, really good. Ooh, this is a tough one. Gosh, black is just flying around the table. Vein Ripper, 6 mana, 6/5 flying, and has Ward Sack a creature. Whenever a creature dies from anybody, it drains your opponent for 2. It's crazy, but we can't really consider it here. Case of the Burning Masks, I think, is good. There's also a Person of Interest, which I think, considering we only have 9 creatures, I think we have to take the Person of Interest over the case. We've got a good amount of removal already, so I'm going to go ahead and take the nice creature here. Oof, can I just put all these cards in my deck and call it a day? It's got to be Perimeter Enforcer, I think. How many detectives do we have? 0. Huh. Well, we do have a Concealed Weapon, which makes it better. We do have an Inside Source, which makes it better. Yeah, I mean, these cards are good. Perimeter Enforcer has the highest upside, but maybe not in our deck. We'll see. A strange inclusion from the list, Goblin Warchief. Don't think we have any goblins. Nope. So do we just take a Hellion? I don't think I'm playing really any of this, so throw this into the sideboard. Reckless Detective is something I'll play, though. 2 mana, 0/3. Whenever it attacks, you can sack an artifact or discard a card. And then if you do, you draw a card and it gets +2/+0. So it attacks as a 2/3 that rummages, which is pretty darn good. Hazda Vigilante is a nice little upside card for the top of the curve, because we have a lot of creatures power 2 or less. So we'll take that here. Don't think I'm playing anything here. That's a late Leering Onlooker. Gosh, black was open this draft for sure. Don't think I'm playing any of these cards either. Both Toxin Analysis these came back, as well as the last one. So I'm going to go ahead and build this deck here and see you after deck build. Okay, so here's where I ended up. I had to add a couple of extra cards back in. I added an Offender at Large, a Defenestrated Phantom, a couple of, like a Red Herring, a couple of just derpy creatures. Kept the lands at 17 because we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 disguise creatures here, which is like a lot, and a concealed weapon, so kind of 8. So, gonna be needing to use our mana a lot. I might regret that. I usually flood out in this format. I don't know why, it just happens. I play 17. Many other content creators are recommending playing 18 in this format, but I've flooded way too many times with just 17. So, I mean, I've got 8 disguise creatures. If there's ever a deck that needs 17 or 18, it would be this one. But got double Helix, a Galvanize, and a Shock, as well as more card draw and push and pull for the victory in the late game. Excited about this one. I think it's going to be pretty good. I think Red White's one of the better decks in the format. I'll see you in game number 1. All right, game 1, we go first, and we've got 10th District Hero on 2. Not that it's particularly great early, but it's a fine 2-drop. We've also got Inside Source on 3, and Shock if we, for some reason, have to kill a 1-drop. Looks like we don't. Now we got a nice little curve here, 2, 3, 4. So we'll play Hero. See if it dies to Galvanize. Nope, they got a Bystander, sure. Let's do this and play Red Herring, because as much as I don't like Red Herring, you gotta make sure it has attacks whenever it does. If you play it, let's see if they kill the hero, looks like they will. Night Watch or Person of Interest? I think I'll play Person of Interest here. Attack with Herring. And let's see if we have to sacrifice Herring next turn, because they play an X3. That is an X3. Okay. Hopefully we draw a land so we can disguise a creature here. No, but it is something we can play. Got a bunch of disguise. Red-white versus red-white. The theme of the last year of Limited or so. Sure. Okay, there's a land. So am I willing to trade this for a Novice Inspector? I mean, I kind of have to be. Because it's not blocking. So they block with Phoenix and Novice Inspector, or they're weary of a combat trick and don't do so. No reason. So my thought in doing this is I could either just cast this. I could have just cast that too. Enters the battlefield or is turn face up. Interesting. So I could have attacked with Enforcer and played Defender at Large there. For some reason I thought it was just is turn face up. But now I can undisguise this at instant speed and surprise them with a 3-2. This lets us have attacks. With the Enforcer next turn if we want it. Always love to see people cracking clues in the developing portion of the game here. Usually means they're searching for answers to what we've got going on. Phantom, okay. That's probably fine because we seem to be a little bit more on the aggressive here. Okay, Reckless Detective. See if they attack with 3 or more creatures to try to flip their masks here. I guess you don't actually have to have a card in hand to discard here, because it doesn't say as an additional cost to cast this. So when it enters the battlefield, if it has zero, if you have 0 cards in hand, like if we draw a land next turn, we can play Inside Source and the Case and just draw 2 cards, which would be great. So that means for this turn, let's just cast Offender at Large, give it here. And now, unfortunately, we can't attack with this anymore because they could just block with Detective and Phoenix and eat it. So let's offer a couple trades here. Sure, trade it with the Phantom, make a 2/2. And a land would be a great draw, like I said, so we can Inside Source, cast this, draw 2 cards. And then maybe the next turn we'll be able to solve it, potentially. They are also going wide. We're playing basically the mirror here. Alright, we did get it. So, do we attack with the Offender? This stupid Phoenix is so annoying because otherwise we'd have attacks with everything. So let's offer some trades here. Probably going to be a 2/2 and a Disguise Creature if I had to guess. Okay, that's 3 creatures, sure. Play the Inside Source. Play the Case. Draw 2 cards. And that is a great draw for Phoenix. Granted, it will be able to come back to the battlefield tapped, but that opens up a lot of attacks for us, depending on what some of these disguise creatures are here. Oh. Push and pull. What could we get? A Phantom. We could get, an Offender at Large and a 10th District Hero or a Museum Night Watch. That's pretty good because it sacrifices itself and leaves behind a 2/2. So 2 creature cards from a single graveyard under your control, haste and sacrifice them at the end step. I mean, at that point, we just probably attack with everything. We're at 23. I mean, I don't know what these could be, but could be anything, obviously. Fugitive Codebreaker. Okay, interesting. That's fine, though. I'll take that. Give it here. And then swing in and hope it's enough. Here's a case where math is for blockers, right? Figure that one out in later. They kind of have to block this thing, yeah. And if they block the 3/2, they still take 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's still enough. So this looks to be lethal here. I mean, I guess they should block the Night Watch instead to prevent 1 more damage, but I think we still got him. Push and pull. Man, that card has been good. It's early removal spell and a late win the game. Exact kind of card you want. Alright, can't be lucky all the time and always go first, but it's a great hand, so we're keeping it. Detective on 2 and then see what sort of disguising we want to do on 3, depending on what they do and what we draw. Shock. Frantic Scapegoat. Okay. Nice little card there. Candlestick gives +1/+1 and surveils whenever it attacks. Okay. Oh. Interesting. Kuldotha Rebirth from the list. Yeah, that's a thing. So it looks like we're going to be a little bit more defensive here. So I think I should probably... Yeah, okay, I guess I gotta trade Detective for a combat trick. I mean, I know they have one, but... Gotta get it out of their hand. That's a great draw. I guess I'll play a Dog Walker. I think I'll be okay trading this off for something. They are missing land drops. We just got to try to whittle down their board as quickly as we can. Next turn we can play Night Watch here. Another combat trick. Here you go. Sure. That's a pretty good one. That dies into a 2/2. I do really like Felonious Rage. Their detective is now suspected. We can play Dog Walker, which is not great on this board, to be honest, and hold up Lightning Helix. I do think I'd rather just play Night Watch, though. I mean, what's good on this board is playing Dog Walker and flipping it up, which we can do next turn. It's just, we might be at like 7 life next turn. Okay, they're out of combat trick, so at least there's that. These become untapped, right? Yeah. There's a disguise. Let's do this, and we just got to stabilize here. Okay, take 2 again. That's something I'm probably going to Helix at some point here. I suppose I could have traded off for one of these cards, which might have been worth it, but we're going to get 2 more dogs here that block it pretty well. So... Okay, it's maybe a little slow, but we'll see. I might just keep this as a creature. I think having this as a creature is going to be more valuable in this game than it will be to flip up. Gadget Technician, you have a flyer. Yeah. Let's actually do this. That way they get to choose if they want to kill our concealed weapon or leave us with the Dog Walker here. And these 2 still block all of this very well. Okay. I think I'll just play this disguised. Still hold up Helix. I don't want to discard it to a case of the Crimson Pulse here. So, pass the turn. I'm wondering if I have to Helix the stupid Thopter because we don't have any flyers. And if I just let it keep hitting me over and over and over again, it's going to be a problem. Go to combat. Attack with the Thopter, I'm sure. Don't get priorities, so they don't have a combat trick here. I don't like doing this, but currently that's the biggest threat on the board. And if we just keep letting it hit us, I don't know what we're searching for to try to get out of this here, so... I guess the Watchdog is going to make attacks become pretty good starting next turn, so let's keep our creatures here and then probably just play Watchdog next turn, and if we draw a 3 or fewer drop, then that's kind of a 3 or fewer drop, so let's do this. Pump. Pump up the Dog Walker. Play the Watchdog. Does this only trigger once per turn? Oh, power 2 or less, obviously. So we can do... I mean, we can start getting pretty aggressive here. We just gotta make sure they don't kill us with some sort of crazy tricks or things. I mean, they all get buffed here, so they have to start probably making some blocks. What are they taking? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So it's not lethal. Can they kill us on the backswing is the question. They only have 3 mana, so I doubt it, but we'll see. They're not playing white, so they can't have on the job. So that's good. Looks like they're taking 19. And I will happily block any number of creatures that come my way here, just to attempt to not die. Interesting. They get rid of the Watchdog there by doing the unauthorized exit. Can they kill us here now? Really hope not. They cannot. Alright. Managed to turn the corner there. Thanks to the help of Karlov Watchdog. Didn't think it was a great card. Did work there. Okay, on the draw again. Got a couple disguised creatures. Got a Helix. Got both colors of mana. We'll keep it. Don't need more mountains, I can tell you that, though. What do they got? A red herring. I guess I could just trade this off here. I mean, just play the Dog Walker and plan to trade it with the herring and see if they use a removal spell on it instead. Combat trick? Nope. Okay, just trade it off. 2-drop for 2-drop. And definitely going to do this. I don't need mountains. Counterspell? Counterspell. Sure. Even a plains wouldn't have been horrible, but mountain is like the exact opposite. Shock would be a good draw, though. Let's draw Shock. Mountain. Sure. Is that all of the mountains in our deck? Crime Stopper Sprite locking down our disguised creature. Okay. I do believe I'm going to Helix the Inspector now, depending on what we draw. I mean, if we draw another mountain, I'm just going to rage quit. Not great right now. I think Helix is better. I don't want to do this because I'd like to surprise their sprite by doing that. So let's just do this now. While they're tapped out, they already proved that they had at least one counterspell. So, see, if any of that were a plains, I could have double spelled that turn. But no, just 4 straight mountains or whatever. There's a 5/5. Now I don't need the plains, unfortunately. Do I have an answer for a 5/5 in this deck? Probably not. See if they can kill our Phantom now. Okay, that's not too bad. Okay. Can I interest you in all of the rest of the mountains in your deck? Oh man, 4, 5, 6, 7 mountains. I think we have one more mountain. Maybe 2. I think we're running 9, 8 in favor of red. There was at least one game every draft where I flood as hard as this here. Let's see if they can blow us out with removal. They didn't have it last turn. Okay, that's okay, I guess. Now we need to draw something. A rare case would be pretty good here. Holy moly. We have drawn a Perimeter Enforcer this game. And a Plains and 5 mountains. Alright, I'm done. Another mountain! That's all the mountains on our deck. Every single one of them. That was 9. So we had 9, 10, 11. Yeah, we're just, I mean, yeah, magic. Magic. Another mountain. That was 9 of them. Alright, here we are. Going first now after that wild flood of a game. That's still funny to me. Gonna play Red Herring on 2 and see how many times it can get in there, because when is it better to play except right now? And if they play an X3 here, then we sack it. Okay, now we can trade if they want to. Would obviously like a land. Never lucky. Is this a detective? No, this makes a detective though. So I could play Perimeter Enforcer. Or the hero here. I'll play this. If we draw a land, we can pump this once, get a couple life. What is this thing? ETBs draw 2, then discard unless you discard an instant or sorcery or flying creature. Okay, so draw 2, discard 2, sure. Could Helix that. Let's get on the board here and attack with Enforcer, see if they want to trade first. Looks like they do. That's okay with me. And then now we've got 3 mana, so that's a decent little Helix target. So we can go hero. They do get to investigate, but it is a 3/3 flyer that I'd prefer they just didn't have. So Projector Inspector. Land, escape tunnel, and probably pass, unless they have like a Novice Inspector. Yeah, okay. So 5 lands, so we can go Disguise and Collect Evidence 2. So let's... Oh, it has vigilance too. Okay, then let's do that first. I could do it again, but I'd like to advance my board at least a little bit here. So next turn we could flip up Dogwalker and do 10th District Hero. Let's see if it survives. They've got 5 mana here, so it might not. Yeah, it does survive, but it stays tapped here now. Yeah, that's fine with me. And another Inspector getting all of the loots here. Jeez, getting rid of Buried in the Garden, which is a great card. So now we attack. Go to damage, they go to 4. Is it worth protecting the rest of our creatures? Well, the answer is they die. So that was a tough call between whether to play another disguised creature or give everything indestructible there. Probably would have played the disguised creature had they let me. On the draw, we'll keep. Can't really do much about that. Alright, Scapegoat on 1. More aggressive decks here. And lands would be good. That's why we're playing 17 of them. Although not as good as a couple games ago where we had like all of them. You know what? Hero forces them to either have removal for this or sacrifice. Well, never mind. This thing has menace. That was the wrong play. Okay, well, they even attacked with Scapegoat, so clearly can't block it. So I probably should have just played my own herring there. Alright, let's play this now. I know they have a combat trick, but we're low enough on life that at this point we're probably going to have to just get it out of their hand and start blocking. Which is a bit unfortunate. Yeah, so if we do this and this... They can probably only use the trick on one thing here. There's the trick. So red herring does die. Our red herring is really not looking great here. Something I could do is I could play this post-combat and plan on lightning helixing something, and then it can block this. Because it is able to block. And then if they don't attack, or if I don't need to helix something, I could sack it to draw a card. Or I could just play a Person of Interest. I'm going to get the 4-drop down, I think, actually. Keep this back to block this. I will block here. Tin Street Gossip. That's a good card. Can't quite kill it with Helix as much as I would like to. So I can play this disguised. I could play the Vigilante, and if I play this disguised, I could also play Helix or Herring post-combat here. I think I'll play this and then give it here. No attacks, and have to hope we dodge some enormous creature. I wouldn't be shocked if this is a Riftburst Hellion. They do now have 4, 5, 6, 7 mana to flip it up if they want to. They bite down on crime. That's what I think they're debating here. Killing the Hazda Vigilante with bite down on crime. Whatever it is, they have a lot of options. There's the bite down on crime on the Hazda Vigilante. That sounds about right. Okay. Trading it off. This is all working out. Red Herring has attacks now. Look at that. It's a Flourishing Bloomkin. Okay. Not bad. It's a 4/4 now, which is right out of range of Lightning Helix, unfortunately. But we still can flip this up and turn it into a 6/6. So that's pretty good. Now it's a 5/5. Alright, let's see if they have removal for a 6/6. Looks like they do. Alright, take 5. It's not great. Oh. Look at that. Caught red-handed, actually doing something. Alright, can we win now? If they don't... sorry, if they don't block this, which they can't block this, so they can't block that. So that's 8, 9, 10, 11. So if they don't block Red Herring here, we win. What if we Helix this? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's not enough. Ah, they did it. Darn. No? Yeah. Can't decide. Go to damage. Play Neighborhood Guardian. And even if they have removal for this, we can still Helix and go up to 7 life. Sure. Attack for 5. Helix you. Do they have another shock? I don't think they do. Okay, looks like they don't. Couple of instant speed. Look, Lightning Helix. It's an incredible card. Don't pass it. Try to splash it. It's really good. Starting on the draw once again, but we do have 2 creatures we can play. Red makes the hand outstanding, so, but more planes is not going to do it. It's going to be like the other game. Alright, good. We actually found a red. Let's go. So what do we lead on? What do we want to die first? I think Enforcer not having the synergies right now, I would like to expose that to removal first, as we don't have any detectives in hand. Tunnel Tipster. Probably have to shock that. So, Hero, shock the Tipster, make sure that they can't ramp here. Attack in, and that's enough. Instant concession. Red, white, too good. Okay, this might be one step too far to keep. If these were both mountains, this would be a great hand. If we draw a mountain, the hand becomes great. We have 9 red sources here. Even a plains lets us play Dogwalker and flip it, and we have like 3 turns to find a mountain. This is suspect, obviously. But boy, if we find a mountain, this is basically an instant win. So let's see if we can do that. Okay, I mean, again, that lets us play Dogwalker on 3 now. Of course, going against red-white. Yeah, I mean, red-white, gosh, as much success as I have had with red-white, so have other people. It seems a little oppressive in this format. It's just been like aggro versus aggro like a lot today. It's obviously a suspect keep here. I mean, it could be an instant loss. But like I said, if we drew a mountain, we basically instant win. So, you know, high variance, but... yeah, unfortunate. Okay. High variance, and we took the loss this time, but maybe next time it will be the win. So... go to 6. Play another card. There's a mountain, but maybe too little too late here. Let's play this and hold up shock, I guess. So they can turn that into a 4/4. So I have to do something like this. I don't really have a choice, because if I mean, I guess I could double block this for, then I go to 1. They have 3 creatures that are lethal next turn. I've got nothing on the board here. Yeah, just a little mana screw. So one time we drew all the lands, and this time we didn't draw any of the lands. Those are both of our losses. Alright, starting with another mana screwed hand here, but at least we can cast things this time. Going against aggro again. So I started this draft out by saying this format isn't particularly fast, but more aggressive decks. Yeah, that's a problem. I'm going to have to Helix that if I can find a red. And if I can't, then we'd probably die. Yeah, sack the clue. This tells me they're probably going to miss a land drop unless they find one off the top here, which they did. Gotta make sure this doesn't get more than a 3/3 before I draw red. Although I can't make sure of that because it'll happen or it won't if I draw red. Okay. Maybe we can outrace it? I don't know. What else do they have? Probably removal for Watchdog. That's going to be a problem for them. Past that, I mean, gosh, if we draw a red, we can play this disguised and hold up Helix here. If we don't draw a red, we can just play Night Watch, but all these things aren't great. You know, won 5 games pretty convincingly, and then, oh, and then we get board wiped. That's great. What's new? Welcome to Karlov Manor Limited. So many board wipes. I guess at least that gets rid of their Gear Drake too, but still a 3-for-1. Okay, there's a red. Let's get some creatures down here now. Try to rebuild a little bit, see if we can catch up. They've got so many cards. 6 mana, 4 clues, 2 Thopter makers. Sack an artifact, make 2 Thopters here. So another red, but is it something we want to discard to Detective here? Maybe. Yeah, that seems fine. Go to damage, they go to 8, and then guess I'll play the Dog Walker here. They're gonna have 4 Thopters now. I could Helix them out of nowhere and try to put them a little bit lower on life, but I mean, they're getting 2 Thopters a turn and drawing an extra card per turn now. So this value might be too much for us to handle. While also casting other things, presumably. Looks like they will solve that, which means they get a 4/4 at instant speed. Okay, that's 5 damage to the face. I just don't have 2 red mana. Yeah, I mean, they have 2 Thopters coming every single turn here, unfortunately, which is just really tough to beat. Yeah, sure. Get yourself a 4/4. And all their creatures are flying, too. So we almost had it, but they turned the corner there. Do we have 2 helixes in this deck? I don't think we do. Oh, wow. Okay, maybe this opens the door for us here a little bit. If we can punch through enough damage this next turn. I'm sure they have removal, but we have a lot of creatures now. Okay, they're effectively at 3 right now, and they don't know it. So... let's see if they put themselves dead or not. Because we're dead next turn, so we have to win now, or lose. If they have removal for Museum Night Watch, then we do lose. Okay, alright, gotta go for it, I guess. Can they gain life, or can they counter it? Alright. Lightning Helix to the rescue once again. That is the theme of today's video. Hey, we get to go first this time, and we actually have a pretty good curve where I don't even know if we want to disguise the Dogwalker. We might just go 2, 3, 4 here. Because that is a nice little curve. Let's see what we draw instead if we want to do something different than that. Actually, yeah, that does change it. So now we'll go Perimeter Enforcer. Inside Source pumps it next turn. And then probably Person of Interest, and then probably disguise Dogwalker and undisguise it. Seems like a plan to me. Black, green. Ugh. Hate to see that. At least we still get to gain 2 life here, but Leering Onlooker is good. This does pump this again next turn. Unfortunately, we still can't get in because of the Leering Onlooker unless they choose to attack, which I don't think they will. We could pump this, but it's just a lot of mana when I'd rather be developing my board, so I probably won't do that. Escape Tunnel. And yet another reach creature. So now I can't attack with it. Unless I were to pump it, which I'm not going to do. So it's just concealed, or Person of Interest here. And unfortunately no attacks. Next turn Dogwalker flip up. The following turn Concealed Weapon flip up. Surprisingly. Ugh, more flyers. I just can't get through here. Well, that's a good draw. Gosh, all these big butts, I just can't get through these attackers. Okay, go ahead, I guess. This deck could have used an On the Job. That would have been pretty good for us, but do not have it. So we will have to play accordingly. What other big-butted creature do you have? Sure. Drain us. Okay, so we can undisguise this kind of surprisingly for them, so let's get on in there and see if we need to use Galvanize or undisguise our concealed weapon here. Okay, they do have interaction. Let's see what it is, though. Hopefully it doesn't kill our perimeter enforcer in response here. That would not be good. Oh, it's a pump trick. Okay. Yeah, sure. We do get to gain 4 life at the very least. They do get to eat some of our creatures here, but we're not in, like, a horrible spot, I guess. If we can find a way to draw 2 cards, we can kill the vampire. But, gosh, I still just have so many big butts here. And 6 mana. There's another 3/3. Okay. That's fine. That's the biggest butt that we can't get through, so... I was about to say land is probably the worst draw for us, so how do we do this? This has Menace. So we equip this one, we attack with this and Dogwalker, I guess? Okay, trade off Dogwalker for a 3/3. Eat their 1/3. And they can get 2 bats still. That's 4 mana for 2 2/2s that have upside. So that's a lot of bodies on the board. Yeah, I mean, you got disguised creatures. And I got lands. How about that? I guess I should have kept it here. I forgot this had Menace. So... But I think we're so far behind at this point. I mean, what we really like to do is draw lands when we don't need them. So... Drain us for 2 more here. Get 2 more flyers. Don't think we can push through. We don't have Anthem effects in this deck, so... 6-3 is not a bad record here. Red-White is still one of the better decks in the format, in my opinion. What is this one? Is this the cloaked one? That's disguised. That's disguised. That's cloaked. They have tons of mana. I mean, is this permanent 1 and that's permanent 4? Have them flip something up here. Oh, it's the big creature. Yeah, crowd control warden, that's what I thought. And a Sanguine Savior. That gives it lifelink. Yeah, 7/7 with lifelink. And once again, we just draw lands. So every loss we had in this draft was due to just, I mean, completely due to lands. Unfortunately, I don't know if 16 is correct. I don't know if 17 is correct. We needed pretty much all the lands, and then we just didn't. And then as soon as we didn't, they were like, "Oh, I heard you needed lands. Would you like more?" So that's how we lost this draft, but still 6-3. Good result with the deck. I think it was trophy worthy had the shuffler been ever so slightly nicer to us, but it is what it is. Thanks for tuning in today, and I'll see you next time for your daily draft.